Hi, friends. Welcome to Ivy's Fortress. I'm Ashanti, your reading friend, and today we're starting a new format of reading and story time. I'm going to be selecting an ebook off a ebook platform called Libby. You can connect your public library card to Libby as long as they have it as a platform for you to use. But you can connect your library card with Libby and you can access an array, an abundance of resources that you could be entertained by, you can learn something new, you can find a answer to a question you've been asking yourself for so long. So I'm super excited about that. I'm a little bit nervous, so if I stumble over my words or if I sound a little discombobulated, which means kind of out of sorts, not myself, then that is why, because I love technology. I am an expert in utilizing technology, and I also too make mistakes. So without further ado, we're gonna get started. I have my journal here. It has my school name on it that I graduated from my my master's degree. So I finally have a degree in library science and information management. It's been a long 2 years. I remember kicking off Ivy's Fortress along with the degree plan I started 2 years ago, and it's been quite a ride. And I've been thankful that you guys are joining me too, because what's not fun about reading? A lot of things. Reading can get boring. I'm not going to deny that fact. But it can also be something that you enjoy doing or look forward to every single day to rest your mind, settle your spirit, all those fun things. So I am going to write the date. Since I don't have a physical book anymore, or I'm not utilizing or using a physical book, I am going to use a journal and I'm going to write the date and time. And I'm going to write the book we are reading. Sometimes it's important to journal what you read because reading can shape who you are as a person. Reading can encourage you to make certain decisions and choices in your life. And so, if you have a log of what you've read, you can kind of find your patterns in how you select your reading choices. And that's a unique trend because oftentimes we just kind of read to get through it, or we're reading to achieve a task, whether that's self improvement, entertainment, whatever it is. We try our best to make sure that what we're reading is in alignment with what we're trying to achieve. Once again, nervous and I get to yapping. So let's get started. I'm going to start sharing my screen. 3, 2, 1. Amazing. And I'm going to stop. Open up Libby. So I already have Libby open. I thought by resetting it, it was going to go back to the home screen. So one of those mistakes again, and I don't feel any type of way about it because we're learning together. But I'm gonna go back here, and this is my shelf. This is what I currently have checked out and what we're gonna be reading today, A Bad Case of Stripes. This is one of my favorite children's books. So I figured why not start off reading A Bad Case of Stripes with you guys in the ebook format. So you can search the books that you want. You can see that I already recently searched A Bad Case of Stripes to locate it and recall it, which is basically taking it off the shelf, the digital shelf, and putting it into my handle, my hands, my hold. And now I can read the book and return it when I'm finished. So I'm not going to do a tutorial of Libby. I'm going to save that for another video because it's a very specific need. So let's go ahead and get started. Bad Case of Stripes. I will be moving my little avatar, my profile video around as you see right now. Okay, so I don't block any words or pictures. The goal is for you guys to see the book and all of its details, but also see how I read and learn through visual to improve your fluency. So, without further ado, let's get reading. A Bad Case of Stripes by David Shannon. David Shannon is a very popular children's book author, so if you have heard his name before, know that you're reading quite the good book. This is a Blue Sky Press published book. It's an import of Scholastic Inc. A Bad Case of Stripes with a lot of lima beans. Wonder what that's about. Camilla Cream loved lima beans, but she never ate them. There we go. All of her friends hated lima beans and she wanted to fit in. Camilla was always worried about what other people thought of her. Today she was fretting even more than usual. It was the first day of school and she couldn't decide what to wear. There were so many people to impress. She tried on 42 outfits, but none seemed quite right. She put on a pretty red dress and looked in the mirror. Then she screamed. Her mother ran into the room and she screamed too. "Oh, my heavens," she cried. "You're completely covered with stripes." This was certainly true. Camilla was striped from head to toe. She looked like a rainbow. Mrs. Cream felt Camilla's forehead. "Do you feel all right?" she asked. "I feel fine," Camilla answered, "but just look at me." "You get back in bed this instant," her mother ordered. "You're not going to school today." Camilla was relieved. She didn't want to miss the first day of school, but she was afraid of what the other kids would say, and she had no idea what to wear with those crazy stripes. That afternoon, Dr. Bumble came to examine Camilla. "Most extraordinary," he exclaimed. "I've never seen anything like it. Are you having any coughing, sneezing, runny nose, aches, pains, chills, hot flashes, dizziness, drowsiness, shortness of breath, or uncontrollable twitching?" "No," Camilla told him. "I feel fine." "Well then," Dr. Bumble said, turning to Miss Cream, "I don't see any reason why she shouldn't go to school tomorrow. Here's some ointment that should help clear up those stripes in a few days. If it doesn't, you know where to reach me." And off he went. The next day was a disaster. Everyone at school laughed at Camilla. They called her Camilla Crayon and Night of the Living Lollipop. She tried her best to act as if everything were normal, but when the class said the Pledge of Allegiance, her stripes turned red, white, and blue, and she broke out in stars. The other kids thought this was great. One yelled out, "Let's see some purple polka dots." Sure enough, Camilla turned all purple polka dotty. Someone else shouted, "Checkerboard," and a pattern of squares covered her skin. Soon, everyone was calling out different shapes and colors, and poor Camilla was changing faster than you can change channels on a TV. That night, Mr. Harms, the school principal, called. "I'm sorry, Mrs. Cream," he said. "I'm going to have to ask you to keep Camilla home from school. She's just too much of a distraction." And I've been getting calls from other parents. They're afraid those stripes may be contagious. Camilla was so embarrassed. She couldn't believe that 2 days ago, everyone liked her. Now nobody wanted to be in the same room with her. Her father tried to make her feel better. "Is there anything I can get you, sweetheart?" he asked. "No, thank you," sighed Camilla. What she really wanted was a nice plate of lima beans, but she had been laughed at enough for one day. I get that. Sometimes we just can't even take any more criticism or just being judged for being who we are and dealing with what we deal with. So I get it. Well, yes, I see, Dr. Bumble mumbled when Mr. Cream phoned the next day. "I think I better bring in the specialist. We'll be right over." About an hour later, Dr. Bumble arrived with 4 people in long white coats. He introduced them to the Creams. "This is Dr. Grop, Dr. Sponge, Dr. Cricket, and Dr. Young." Then the specialist went to work on Camilla. They squeezed and jabbed, tapped, and tested. It was very uncomfortable. "Well, it's not the mumps," concluded Dr. Grop. or the measles, said Dr. Sponge. Definitely not chickenpox, put in Dr. Cricket. Or sunburn, said Dr. Young. Try these, said the specialist. They each handed her a bottle filled with different colored pills. Take one of each before bed, said Dr. Groot. Then they filed out the front door, followed by Dr. Bumble. That night, Camilla took her medicine, and it was awful. When she woke up the next morning, she did feel different, but when she got dressed, her clothes didn't fit right. She looked in the mirror, and there, staring back at her, was a giant, multicolored pill with her face on it. Dr. Bumble rushed over as soon as Mrs. Cream called, but this time, instead of the specialist, he brought the experts. Dr. Gourd and Mr. Mellon were the finest scientific minds in the land. Once again, Camilla was poked and prodded, looked at and listened to. The experts wrote down lots of numbers. Then they huddled together and whispered. Dr. Gourd finally spoke. It might be a virus, he announced with authority. Suddenly, fuzzy little virus balls appeared all over Camilla. Or possibly some form of bacteria, said Mr. Mellon out, popped squiggly little bacteria tails. Or it could be a fungus, added Dr. Gourd. Instantly, Camilla was covered with different colored fungus blotches. The experts looked at Camilla, then at each other. We need to go over these numbers again back at the lab, Dr. Gourd explained. We'll call you when we know something. But the experts didn't have a clue, much less a cure. By now, the TV news had found out about Camilla. Reporters from every channel were outside her house, telling the story of the bizarre case of the incredible changing kid. Soon, a huge crowd was camped out on the front lawn. The creams were swamped with all kinds of remedies from psychologists, allergists, herbalists, nutritionists, psychics, an old medicine man, a guru, and even a veterinarian. Each so-called cure only added to poor Camilla's strange appearance until it was hard to even recognize her. She sprouted roots and berries and crystals and feathers and a long, furry tail, but nothing worked. One day, a woman who called herself an environmental therapist claimed she could cure Camilla. Close your eyes, she said, breathe deeply, and become one with your room. I wish you hadn't said that, Camilla groaned. Slowly, she started to melt into the walls of her room. Her bed became her mouth, her nose was a dresser, and two paintings were her eyes. The therapist screamed and ran from the house. What are we going to do? Cried Mrs. Cream. It keeps getting worse and worse, she began to sob. Itchy nose from the pollen outside. At that moment, Mr. Cream heard a quiet little knock at the front door. He opened it, and there stood an old woman who was just as plump and sweet as a strawberry. Excuse me, she said brightly, but I think I can help. She went into Camilla's room and looked around. My goodness, she said with a shake of her head. What we have here is a bad case of strep, one of the worst I've ever seen. She pulled a container of small green beans from her bag. Here, she said, these might do the trick. Are those magic beans? Asked Mrs. Cream. Oh, my, no, replied the kind old woman. There's no such thing. These are just plain old lima beans. I'll bet you like some, wouldn't you? She asked Camilla. Camilla wanted a big, heaping plate full of lima beans more than just about anything, but she was still afraid to admit it. Yuck, she said. No one likes lima beans, especially me. Oh dear, the old woman said sadly. I guess I was wrong about you. She put the beans back in her bag and started toward the door. Camilla watched the old woman walk away. Those beans looked so good, and being laughed at for eating them was nothing compared to what she'd been going through, so she probably couldn't stand it. Wait, she cried. The truth is, I really love lima beans. I thought so, the old woman said with a smile. She took a handful of beans and popped them into Camilla's mouth. Mmm, said Camilla. Suddenly, the branches, feathers, and squiggly tails began to disappear. Then the whole room swirled around. When it stopped, there stood Camilla, and everything was back to normal. I'm cured, she shouted. Yes, said the woman. I knew the real you was in there somewhere. She patted Camilla on the head. Then she went outside and vanished into the crowd. I aspire to be that old woman. I can just go around here little kids with their favorite interests just to remind them it's perfectly fine to be yourself every day of your life. Afterward, Camilla wasn't quite the same. Some of the kids at school said she was weird, but she didn't care a bit. She ate the lima beans she wanted, and she never had a touch of stripes again. Yeah, brownie something never gets old. I think some of the most challenging things in task in our life is when we have to choose ourselves, even when it feels like the hardest thing to do because it's going to make somebody laugh at us, make somebody feel like we're weird or different and possibly can't really be their friend because our differences. But those moments can inspire you to be yourself if you approach them with a positive attitude. And what I mean by that is when you find yourself struggling between, do I be more like, am I going to be more like the world? Or am I going to be more like myself? Answer this, this answer will come to fruition or it will come to life. If you're more like yourself, you're better for the world. So you don't really have to choose when you come to that realization. And lucky for the both of us, I'm here to share that with you. So remember, if you're more like yourself, who you were born to be, then the better the world will be. And that's how you change it. Well, that's all I have for you, friends. Catch you next time. Bye. Just kidding. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and then say goodbye because that's kind of awkward. Stop share. So yes, here we are. And try your best to imagine yourself in a world that you want to live in. What that looks like for you, what that looks like for the rest of your family, what that looks like for your friends, your community, and the person you'll never know, and the people you'll know someday. So, hope you guys enjoyed the view of my microwave, Jesus up here, and some wings. This bread of life. And I'm in my kitchen. All right, bye guys. I'm getting so off task. We truly enjoy sharing our adventures with you here at Ivy's Fortress. If you do too, like our videos and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Well, what are you doing? It is your choice, but we'll race you there. Bye!